Welcome to the Michigan Try Podcast. Today we have a great friend and shero of an entrepreneur, Devon Roof, joining us to talk about what it's like to own multiple businesses, find your discipline and how you can make those businesses thrive, but also how you can make that even remotely possible when grief and very real life are happening. So let's dive in.
3, 2, 1, talk to me.
Welcome to the Michigan Try Podcast. We are very fortunate today to have probably the reason we have a podcast on the show with us.
Actually.
So before I even introduce you, we need to introduce the Michigan Try Podcast and literally why we even started it, which is how many years ago did we start on Hot Tubs and Entrepreneurs?
Oh my gosh, how many times?
Has it been 2 years, 3 years?
No, longer than that.
Really?
Probably since I've owned my house.
Yeah, so how long is that?
Stop. No way.
So I closed on in 2020 during COVID.
No way, 6 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So,
so.
like-
I agree.
Okay, so for 6 years, we have been meeting at Devon Roof's home.
Devon.
Once Devon Bradley at that time. You weren't even married yet.
No.
That's crazy. And
No.
now you are married to Eric Roof, who can be all of our husbands if you'd like
Yes.
to be. And you invited us over for something that we called a podcast. And we sat in a hot tub and talked about entrepreneurship. And it literally is still on my calendar when we do these things as Hot Tubs and Entrepreneur podcast.
Well, remember we were going to do
literally
it in
still
the
on
hot tub with the little mic?
Yes. I forgot about the little mic plan.
We should do it one
I forgot about. And now Devon actually has a podcast, and I advised her to actually do it in the hot tub, which she doesn't do. She actually does like a legitimate podcast. But I was like, invite people over. This is awesome. It's my favorite night.
Shout out to Hour of Happy. Everybody check out Hour of Happy.
Thanks, girls. And maybe I should actually, take your
should.
recommendation. Maybe that'll get more
That would be
listeners.
so
Tiny
funny.
Tiny
I'm
mics.
coming in hot from
Little
the hot
tiny
tub, like,
mics.
Do it with pregnant belly.
She
Pregnant belly
can't.
bathing
She can't.
suit.
You can't do hot
Oh, cool
That's why we're
cool it down. It's
I
about to
can
be
cool it
summer.
down. That's right.
Cool it down and just have bubbles going so everybody thinks it's a hot tub.
The jet's going. Yes. We can make it happen.
So welcome the reason why we have an actual podcast, Devon Roof. So
Devon.
Thanks, girls.
Devon is like one of our best friends,
friends.
for sure. And I say our like we're one person.
We are one
kind of are, but
We are one person.
But we met Devon at a time when I had just moved back, you had just moved back, and you at that time had recently closed down a brick and mortar boutique that is still alive to this day, but you transformed into a new concept.
Yes.
And you also were toying with the idea of still keeping your marketing company, starting it up, making a PR company in a larger scale. You're still toying with it, and you were working full-time job. So you are undoubtedly a multi-entrepreneur.
Thank you.
Yes. And you now
Multi-passionate.
have a Epic Blue, which is a marketing and PR firm that helps small businesses, nonprofits, people who are growing in big ways, some people who are launching and starting up. And you really help them to catch traditional marketing traction from a PR standpoint, social media traction to make sure that they're being consistent and creating high quality content, and also to strategize. Like, how do I actually make this all work together to drive towards sales instead of just like posting a random reel on social media?
Amen.
And being like, let us hope it brings me someone. You're very strategic. You have a pop-up boutique, an in-home boutique experience for Belle Row. And you currently do not have a full-time job, but I just want to acknowledge sometimes you've done that with a full-time job. So like how?
Yeah.
Explain yourself to me. How are you doing that?
Yes. So that started back when I was still living in Lansing. I was working full-time in the PR industry there. So after graduating from Michigan State, I stayed in the East Lansing area, ended up buying a house in Hazlitt and launched my career and worked up there for the first 9 years of my career, which was wonderful. I gained agency experience, nonprofit experience, but my last job before kind of going off and freelancing and pouring everything into Belle Row I was the PR director at Lansing Community College. Yeah. And so that was my last heavy full-time job. And I was working that job when I started the brick and mortar for Belle Row in 2013. And it was a lot, but I knew I needed to pay for my house. I was, not married yet. Mm-hmm. I had a house. I had a lifestyle that, I wanted to keep, but especially
you
the
girls
house,
and
just
your
the
BBLs
basics.
and Botox conversations are very real.
Even though neither of us have had a BBL.
But we talk about it, and you
talk about it
try
a
to enlist me
lot.
to be your driver, and I have rules about that.
And nurse.
Yeah, Devon and I want to get surgery together, and Amanda's going to take care of us.
Bless her.
Yeah, bless her.
And you girls have a strategy to take care of yourselves because you know how I feel about it.
That's the lifestyle. That's the lifestyle that we're talking about.
Yes. Dreams.
Yeah, dreams.
Not happened yet. Yes.
Absolutely.
But okay, so you have a certain lifestyle you wanted to sustain.
Yeah.
And live.
And even just the basics then, you know, when I say lifestyle, I'm kind of like choking that back because I remember one time even being in the grocery store and checking out and having my cart full and having to leave it because I didn't have enough money in my bank account. And that's when I knew like I need to keep hustling full time in order to
just do basic things in the world now.
Basic things.
We all have to hustle to literally pay for groceries, own a home. Like, the hustle required just to live a life now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, so I kind of did both. And I would work full time, 8 to 5 at the college, and then head to the store in the evening. And I had staff. They were wonderful. I had girls staff in the store, you know, during the day. My mom helped out. And on the weekends I would work too. And we were
Mama
closed on
Bradley.
Sundays. I know she's everywhere. If you've attended any of our pop-up shops, you
met
know
Mama
my
Bradley.
mom, Diane Bradley. Yes, and she helps. And my dad helps set up and tear down. And when Eric's in town, he helps. I mean, everyone. I'm so grateful to have the help and support. You know that I do for that. But especially with brick and mortar, you know, having rent where we were at and being in East Lansing, that rent was great.
Not small. That was not small.
And then paying for staff, you know, to employ at the store and payroll and all of that and the taxes on that, in addition to merch, because owning a clothing boutique like that.
I was gonna say retail's margins are not big enough to make that make sense to me. Like, and you still have done it for so long, but
I've had to adjust to accommodate. Because it is tough. It is tough, and having all of that. So I knew I needed that salary to supplement all of those things. And
how old were you when you started Belle Row?
I was 27.
27.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 27 and
And why did you decide you wanted to do that? Like,
why was retail your thing?
Yeah, like why?
I never intended on it being retail or fashion or anything like that, but I knew from an early age I've always wanted to own my own business. I just didn't know what that looked like. But that all being said, I've also known that I have to learn skills from anywhere that I could in order to set myself up as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't think of it necessarily that way in my brain, but every job I worked, whether it was in high school or in college after, tanning salon, coaching gymnastics, working at the Buckle, like any job I worked, I was a sponge and I learned different things that I could apply now to my businesses today.
What were some of the hardest ones to learn that, like, I remember when I owned a business and I kind of was at this pivotal growth moment, and I either had to go all in and go through a couple hard years to get past this kind of solopreneur to hiring people and things like that, right? Or I was young enough that I was like, I could also close this down right now and like go learn at other places. And probably my biggest lesson that I needed to learn was how to manage people.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I needed it so bad. I didn't know how to delegate jobs. I knew how to delegate tasks. It was like everyone came to me every day and was like, what do I do today? Right? So like I wanted to learn that lesson. So for me, that was a big one that took a lot of time and energy to build. So when you were there learning, what were the hardest ones for you to learn to develop the skills you needed to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah. I think for me, it comes more to like the soft skill side. So like understanding that you have to have patience, and being an entrepreneur, it's the long game. It's all about the long game. Nothing comes fast. And I had to stomach it. And that's why entrepreneurship is not for everybody. It's going to be extremely hard, and only the people that can stomach it survive and push on through and find a way. And you're going to know if it's meant for you, if you're willing to find a way despite being at the lowest of low or really, really struggling. And I did. And that's why even for Belle Row, the transition from brick and mortar to pop-up shop style and online shopping and girls' night out events, I wasn't ready to let that go. You know, I could have been like, I'm just going to do freelancing. Yeah. I wasn't ready, and I knew I still wanted this. And Belle Row meant so much to me because it was more than just a store. I had created this community now of customers that became friends.
Very much that's still at the core for you at Belle Row. Like that's obvious if you shop at Deven's pop-ups, or if you go to her home for a pop-up, or you see a girls' night out, or you even see your promotions. Like it is a community. It's not just a place you shop.
So true.
Yeah.
And that's so special.
Yeah.
That is so special. And I didn't want to let that go.
Yeah.
And so I knew I had to find a way. And at that time, Yeah, because it would have been 2016. So that's when like the food trucks and all of that style stuff was really starting to kind of pop up and happen. And so I was like, I'll give it a shot with the clothing boutique and see how it goes. And reached out. Sandhill Crane Vineyards was my first pop-up shop partner here in Jackson. Yeah.
Woman-owned business. Woman-owned business.
And they're wonderful. And at that point, you know, I'd moved back and it was like tapping in, you know, reaching out to other small businesses. But in doing so, and I want to make this clear, you know, for listeners and people, you know, talking about networking or joining groups or that sort of thing is some of these networks I was tapping into at this point, I'd already grown. And I think that's so important to say because a lot of people walk into rooms or spaces and it's like, whether it's a mastermind or a networking group, and it's like, okay, this is what I need. Who can help me?
Yep.
Right.
And I've never really,
100%.
you know, like one thing I always tell people is no, you show up and you be the person in the room that says, how can I help you?
Yep.
What can I tell me what you're working on? And so when it did come time to tap into this new kind of model and try, that network was already there.
Yeah.
So when it comes to business, you guys, like anyone listening, you have to grow your network before you need them.
Before you need them and sustain it and have genuine relationships with them. So I have a friend out in Arizona. What up, Amanda? Yes, my name's Amanda. Her name's Amanda too.
What's up, Amanda?
And so she just launched a business, Simple Wish Co. And it's a super cool idea. It's where you can purchase. It's like a card you send people, but it's almost like a candle. It has like wax and a wick, and you can like manifest something. You can make a wish, right? And like you can send it for a birthday, all these things. And when I was out there visiting her, I was talking to her about she had just gotten started, and she was like, I don't know who to approach. Like, you know, I don't want to just walk up to a boutique owner because she's doing all online sales, right? But she wants to be in some boutiques. And she was like, I just want to walk in and be like, hi, can my stuff be here? And so we started a conversation about like, this girl, she owned a boutique before in Maine. Like, I was like, where are you already shopping? Like, who do you already know? Those are the people you want to call. Those are the long game people that it's not a conversation of like, hi, I want to be here. It's like a normal conversation you get to have with the person who you've shopped with for 10 years, or you've gone to, what are they called when you go and you shop the major, like where you're going to look for brands to buy.
The shows, the markets.
So like, who are those people you've bought from and things like that?
Yes.
Where you can go in your normal shopping day and be like, by the way, I started a business. Like, can I talk to you about it? And like, would you be a fit? Do you know any good fits? There can be so much more natural conversations from your current network that you've already worked to build. Because that was one thing at Michigan Tribe, we made an absolute boundary when we started the organization. Like, do not come here to sell.
Right, exactly. We're not a BNI.
Do not walk in this room, never being here before, and be like, hi, I have a service to give you.
Yeah.
Walk in to have a normal conversation with other entrepreneurs. Like, build your network, grow your people here.
Right. And you girls do an excellent job with that, by the way.
Thanks. It's because we don't tolerate. No.
Mandy lays down the law.
Yeah, it's so important to us.
It
like
is.
we need community as entrepreneurs. So
there is like a stat out there that a lot of women don't like become entrepreneurs in their 40s because they have built up their network.
And they finally
have the people to be able to, you know, so that's an interesting stat that I've recently learned.
That is.
So, and I would totally agree because I think relationships are what take you far. You know, they're the ones that are going to be able to help you. And that's why Michigan Tribe has been so successful is because we're all there to help each other.
Yeah.
Become successful, right?
And you can call us too to just ask for general guidance, which I think is something you're really good at, Devon. So you do consulting as well for companies and organizations. So there are people who actually hire you who you know need guidance to start their business up or navigate some things. But I think the other thing that you do is you're always willing to lend knowledge, whether it's through speaking or through coffee or through anything like that. You're willing to lend knowledge. Like, here's what I have learned. And a couple examples of this for me that I think about how we've talked is when you let go of the brick and mortar, you became a pop-up shop. You actually bought a downtown Jackson location.
I did.
Yeah, which was it? The office or the town?
Beach's office bar.
Beach's office bar.
Yes.
Right.
Back when it was called that. Yeah.
And the thing, like, I've learned through you in our conversations like that how comfortable you are with real estate. It is not a discomfort for you anymore.
No.
Like, was that always the case? Because you rented in Lansing.
Yes.
How did that,
Yeah.
was it the house? Like, what even lent itself to being so comfortable with like, oh, I'll buy a downtown spot. Let's do this.
That is such a good question, but I think it comes from what I had just gone through in my life personally.
Yeah.
And feeling like, what do I have to lose at this point? Because I had lost everything, and felt like I was set back 10 years. So it was like, you know what, why not? But I do think it did help because I bought my first house when I was 23, and it was during like the.
Because you're a hero? Like,
She's amazing.
doing?
She's
How
like
old were you?
She's like a young, what do you call him? I was
Mogul?
Like yeah,
She's like, you're a mogul.
That's exactly.
Mogul Devon Roof.
I was
so good
How old
this
were
one.
you?
28.
You were young.
Okay. 29.
Okay.
Yeah,
Something like that. Yeah, so
young.
that's really young.
So 23 when you bought your house.
I was trying to capitalize on the government's first-time home buyer
Oh,
incentive,
okay. God,
where you
and
got money
smart.
for
She's
that.
also
Still exists. I know.
And the economy was so bad then, too. And so it was a buyer's market.
What year was that? Was that in
2008.
Yes.
And
Oh, wow.
heading into 2009. So it was like I just graduated, from college. And but my parents are the ones that were like, you're going to spend just as much in rent money here in East Lansing
as you
would in a mortgage right now, because it's a buyer's market. They have this incentive through the government. Like, you should really do this. And being 23, it kind of scared me because I'm like,
I own it.
rule. I own it, and I felt stuck because the rule was then for the first-time home buyers incentive, you had to live in the home for at least 3 years.
Yep.
And back then, 3 years sounded so long.
Yes.
So long.
It sounded
23
so-
to 26. Are you kidding me? I'm pretty sure I
Right.
quit everything and moved across the country like
You
3
did.
times.
You did.
And then I think I packed a backpack and traveled the world as well.
Yes. Yes.
23
So
to
that's-
26, not a commitment I was making.
That's-
Yeah.
You had much more vision than I did.
That's crazy. Yeah, you're so adultish.
Yeah.
It was scary, but I was like, and it felt long, but it went by quicker than I thought. And then
Yeah.
I knew, like, okay, I can do this. And then it's like, again, I started getting the mindset of, if I need to, like, what's the worst that'll happen? What's going to happen? If I do need to get out of this, I can sell it.
I
Like,
can
it's
sell
going to
it.
be okay, and
Yeah.
kind of training my brain to go there and stuff. And so back to your question with the building. Yeah. That, and then selling that home, moving across
When you
country.
moved back and bought, were prices great then? Was it a little more risky? Like, what was the market like when
the
it came
building?
to real estate when you purchased the building?
No, that was 2019. So everything was kind of pricey.
Yeah, I was gonna say that there,
Just
like
before the whole
2008
world,
home
right?
buyership, 2019 actual downtown location buyership. Those are two different decisions.
Big time.
Yeah.
And I, at this point too, because I did the cross country move, I had left my job at the college. I had closed up the brick and mortar location, and no home, no income coming in at this point, moved across the country. So when I came back, I literally had the money that I told recovered from my house sale, like closing in my house in
Okay.
East Lansing,
Wow.
Hazlitt. And I ended up using that money to buy the building. And so I was again back in a place where I felt like I have this much left, but it's worth the risk for me. And I made it through before, and I
Yeah.
always think about that moment at the store. Like, I could do it again. I'm going to find a way. I will always find a way.
Yeah.
Even if it means like this might have to be put on hold for here, I will find a way, And luckily too, the building wasn't listed. So that worked out
Right.
well. It wasn't on the market, and I had tracked down the owner through a local realtor.
Okay. Like, you knew the spot you wanted?
Yes.
Is that what it was? Okay.
I was interested specifically in that location because I just moved back, but coming back home for holidays and stuff, I had known that building had not been open, for a couple of
Right.
years now at this point. And I just casually said, hey, what's up with the office bar? Like, what's going on with that, to the realtor? And she was like, I don't know, but let me find out who owns it. And it had to be a woman. It happened to be a woman that worked for consumers at the time here in town. And she's wonderful, wonderful. Her name's Angela. And
I know Angela at Consumers.
Yes.
What up, girl?
Yes.
Only the one Angela at Consumers?
It's got to be her. I already know.
And she was really cool. She earned my respect immediately because when the realtor reached out to her on my behalf, she told the realtor, I don't work with realtors. If this person's serious, they can get in touch with me. And so of course I did, because at this point I'm like,
All right.
I'm like, what do I have to lose? And
Okay, sounds like my kind of girl.
exactly. So I reached out, and I think she was kind of like, whoa, okay. Like, and so we were like,
she actually
okay.
serious.
Yeah.
So-
she doesn't need a realtor.
She doesn't
Okay.
understand.
And so next thing you know, like, she ends up selling me the building as is. And that helped, too, and stuff, because she was ready to kind of move on. And we did a land contract and started chipping away and cleaning out the inside and this and that. And I did have plans at the time. I think you girls remember, because it was right when I met you, of like trying to do an apartment on top or like in the back, and like make that my house. I didn't have a house. I had to move in with my parents when I first moved back. Like when I'm talking reset, you guys sent me back 10 years like it did.
Yeah.
And it was devastating. And so I was just trying to come back fast. And so I ended up closing on that building actually 4 weeks after moving back to Michigan, because, gas down, full steam ahead. And, long story short, throughout the building process, had to get everything up to code and this and that, and ended up finding out it was going to be a lot more expensive than what I could afford. But luckily, another local realtor came in, and he wanted to buy the building, and kind of like what happened with Angela, he just found my contact info and reached out one day, and it was a blessing, truly.
But you're making it sound like it was just like you're realizing it's too expensive and this person sweeps in, and that wasn't the case.
No.
So you're realizing it's going to be more expensive, and you actually kind of doubled down. Yeah. And this person came in and made an offer, and you were like, no, I've got plans.
You're right.
And that happened a couple of times. So like, what made you say yes eventually? Was the number just right? Was the job too big? Like, what finally made you say yes? Because you were not just like, oh yeah, it's your problem now. That wasn't at all how that went.
Yeah. I knew I had to separate emotion from this. And that goes back kind of to your original question too, of what was something that you learned or was maybe hard for you. And one of the best skills I picked up from launching my businesses is you have to be able to separate emotion from business transactions. And at this point I knew, like, I was kind of in a jam, and, but he also felt right, like what he wanted to do with it. He had asked to use my blueprints and this and that, and kind of when he developed the space, he used the architectural drawings I had, and so that was like special, and it just felt right. I don't know if that makes sense, but working with him and speaking to him, it felt right. And then he also wanted to do a land contract, and that made me feel comfortable too, because there was a chance that I could get the building back if it didn't work out with the land contract. But in the grand scheme, it was coming down to separating my emotion from it. And it was at that point, especially when I got the number back from the engineer for the building. And like, I just knew. And I was devastated, because that was the thing when I first moved back that I was like holding on to so tight. And I didn't want to lose.
It was like the answer to your problems kind of emotionally. Yeah, I get that.
I just felt, I remember crying over it, thinking like, I can't lose. And it was starting to feel like a loss, but then I had to check myself and be like, nope, this is actually a really good business move. And it was. Yeah. And once I did that, that's when I was able to move forward with him. It felt good. He wanted to use my drawings. Like, he seemed great. And, and I knew that it was best to set me up for my next move.
So there's two things in that I hear, and I'm just curious if you can maybe expand on a little bit more. The first one is less me selfishly needing the answer to the question. So and then the second one is me selfishly needing the answer to the question. So the first one is the pivot thing. Alex talks so much about pivoting, and I actually
that was going to be my question.
Yes, I've been thinking about this because when Michigan Tribe first started, we actually had another crew of leaders, and they had a plan. They had a plan for the organization, and just something else was emerging. And for me especially, because Alex wasn't even officially a leader yet, and then you became a leader, and you kind of like agreed with it. But it was like, it feels like we're rolling this way. Like if this one feels, I don't want to say easier, because it's not been easy, but it feels simpler. It feels right. Things like that. And so we separated in leadership from the original crew because they were so set on it turning out the way they visioned it. And so it's just like, it's not just pivoting when finances aren't great.
No.
It's like a willingness to pivot when an opportunity arises that is better suited to the business. I'm just like, I don't even know what I need to expand on that, but like, I feel like I learned that from your sharing. Like,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
1,000%, and being okay with that. And that's how you survive in business.
Yes.
You have to be able to pivot, be flexible, roll with the punches. I mean, during COVID, when I couldn't do my pop-up shops and everything was shut down, I ended up doing online shopping appointments where people could book a a Zoom call with me.
And a one-on-one.
And one-on-ones, yes. And, you have to be able to pivot. Would I have wanted or felt like offering that before? Probably not, but guess what? Pivot, baby, let's go. And also during that time, that's when I started doing freehand delivery for all of Jackson County.
Did, yeah.
Something I still do to this day. Like, good things can come from pivoting or having to pivot, all of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean bad.
So I'm curious because you go through this personal upheaval. You move across the country, then you move home. You've left everything in Lansing. You buy this building. It's not working out. You sell it. How are you feeling at this point? Because some people would be like, I'm just going to go into a depressed hole and never come out.
Me. You guys are a different breed, but me went into the depressed hole just listening to that.
But I am always just in awe of people who are so resilient no matter what happens and they keep pushing forward. Yeah. What kept pushing you forward? Because that's one like shit sandwich after another. Like you're just like, what the,
It was absolutely devastating and hard, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that at all. I mean, I had terrible, rough days. I mean, it rocked me so hard. I didn't even feel like myself anymore. But I also knew I had an opportunity to use that to like fuel me as fire. And so I allowed myself.
Like, did you know that right away, or did you not know that until later?
I had
now looking back, are you like, oh, I used that for fuel? Or in it were you like, I need to use this for fuel?
When I was in it. For
you
sure.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Definitely. Now,
you're stronger than me.
Yeah, you were stronger than me. You're amazing. Okay.
I would have gone nuts, like I would have, I mean, it was so bad. And I did, but I also allowed myself the time to grieve in the way that I needed to. And I had a really, really good support system.
Yeah.
And the people that I did meet, like you girls, it was.
Yeah, we did meet her when she was
literally in this. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, and I hold myself off. Like I met you girls coming out of it because I'd moved back in the fall and I met you kind of in the spring when the Lean Rock Lab had first opened.
And same. We were going through like the same thing. We had both gone through breakups. Yours was the breakup of a possible marriage. You were engaged. Yeah. Mine was a marriage. Like we both were going through huge personal shifts. Now, I just want to point out though, like I said before, I would go into a deep dark hole. I was like, F this noise. Like, I can't even think about that. And you literally were like, let's just think about it differently.
Which you are so good at doing. And that's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah. Like, I think more people could learn from that. Like, how did you do that? How did you do that? It's probably a really hard question to answer, but.
I mean, literally channeling my anger and rage into my business. That's the only thing is when I was in those moments. Now, when I had days where I needed to just cry and like feel, I would do that and I'd let that happen. I'd let myself have that time. But when I was feeling angry and like, I mean, because when something major like that happens to me personally, it just lights a fire. Like, I mean,
like I gotta
you can see your face.
Yeah,
everyone.
I'm getting ready. Like,
Really
okay, let's go. You know, and this isn't going to be the end of me. Like, go on, do that.
Yeah,
I'm good, and just watch. You know,
I've gotten better at that as I've gotten older. When I was young, though, I would say it destroyed me more when I was younger, and now it makes me good because there's just so many experiences for me to look back on and see I could get through it.
Yeah.
It's just like literally my life's not going to end tomorrow. Like I'm good. It's just going to be a rough season. Like it's easier to do that with experience.
Sure. Yeah. Yes. And I think the other big thing at the time that I do not take for granted again is being at my parents' house. When I first came back, I was so embarrassed. I was mortified. I was like, I'm such a loser. I have to move back in. You know, I'm 32.
I moved with my sister. Like, at least you had parents.
You know,
I was like, Alex, make me dinner. Or Mark, make me dinner.
That's true.
But after being like the type where it's like this goal, then this, and then my career and climb, and wanting to do this and be at this level by 27 and to be set back, boom, 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 boom. Like I fell down all the stairs. Yeah, like you fell down the ladder.
Yeah, you literally.
If I did not have, you know, them and to move into, and that also felt like a safe space. And I'm not saying that casually. I feel like maybe that word gets tossed around a lot. I mean, it was truly, I hold myself up in my parents' house. The only people I saw really were like their friends and like, you know, and like two friends that I kind of grew up with before I met you girls, you know, but I really did not interact with, I didn't really go out. I literally poured everything into my business and took the time I needed to heal. And I was able to do that there, you know, and I felt safe and all of that. And I was still trying to wrap my head because I don't want to like not share this part either. Mentally, my brain was so confused because we were 4 months away from the wedding. So my brain was still on this trajectory of this was happening. And now it was like, I mean, I would wake up in the middle of the night and be like, confused because
What's
my
happening?
brain still thought I was
Who's here? What happened? Yeah.
Why am I here? And all of that. And so it took time, and I don't want to make it sound like it was easy peasy and I came back. But those moments when I was feeling angry, frustrated, or all those heavy, heavy emotions, I would use it to do something for my business. And that was one of the most valuable things too, because when it comes to business and having good days and bad days, or prioritizing workloads or time, life is going to happen. And if you're the type that's waiting for everything to go perfect or be okay personally, professionally, you are never, ever going to survive in a leadership position or as a business owner, because that's not the way life goes.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to work through those moments and push through. And going through that really taught me how to do it. And seeing it this way now, I didn't feel that then. I just knew survive, find a way. It was like, build that next step.
Yeah.
But looking back now, I'm like, dang, it really armed me with tools that I use to this day of running my business, being a leader, taking a beat from, if I'm feeling emotional about something, not responding right away, holding back, being in control of my emotions when I have to show up. Cause that was really hard then.
Yeah.
Is
Right.
putting
Emotional
on the
intelligence, knowing where to show and when not to. And all that good
Yeah.
stuff.
But that is my selfish question, okay? So my selfish question is the farther I go in my career and the better I get at controlling my emotions, which right now I don't feel like I'm at my best of controlling my emotions at work, but such is the nature of having a 3-year-old who screams on his way to school every morning. But the response from people when you're that controlled is not, people don't take that positively. They don't look at that and go oh, she's controlling her emotions, or at least my experience of it is not. My experience is that people oftentimes, it actually kind of fuels their fire that I'm not it almost makes it seem like they think I'm cold or inhumane or things like that, when in reality, this is a skill set I've developed over time to be able to hold my emotions and respond respectfully and make decisions that aren't just emotional, because that's best for an the response isn't necessarily respect when you learn how to do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting you've had that experience, because you asked me to choose someone when we're talking about networks again.
Yeah.
A wild card who's going to pop off over this thing, be the loudest in the damn room, banging on tables, raising their voice, loud, rah, 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 versus someone in control.
Yeah.
Someone responding respectfully, having candor, which is rare for leaders to have.
Yeah.
Candor is being able to tell the truth and deliver it in a kind way, and in a calm way. I would choose the candor person over the wild card.
Or the ability to face conflict and hold respect in the conversation. And
and so that's awful that you've had that kind of reaction.
Let's talk about me.
I think though that has a lot to do with where you work and the people that you're working with. And I do think that when it comes to when you're looking at, because we're artistic, creative people in what we do, but we're also business people.
Yeah.
I think when you're dealing in the creative, artistic people that don't have that business side, that can get real dangerous a little bit. You know, emotions and can take point and stuff.
You guys
like
are giving
that.
me hope that it is just a unique experience, and that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, there is.
Well, also too, you may be dealing with a group that's used to getting their way a lot, and when someone,
Girl, are you trying to take me to church right now?
We're turning the tables.
Let's go.
on Amanda.
Yes.
No, I think you're absolutely right.
Because I was gonna say, when you are in control like that, that is the biggest power move that you can have, and people don't like that.
Yeah.
People that are used to getting their way.
Yeah.
If they see a calm person that's level-headed, making sense, genuinely with your heart, wanting to do the right thing, and you're staying like this despite all these things they're throwing at you, it's going to make them more mad.
Oh,
gosh,
and,
absolutely.
You know, and so
upset.
like,
fire them up, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Fire them to the extreme.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, and the fact that you're still maintaining this is so impressive. You know what?
I would say I was maintaining this for like a few years, and I'm like, but yes, I
That is
appreciate
so
you guys.
funny. It's so accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be okay, but now I'm like, okay, maybe I'm crazy. But I also want to say, and going back to the being able to manage grief and manage your emotions through it and show up anyways. I mean, you recently experienced a miscarriage. You're pregnant now and baby is healthy and you are healthy. And those are glorious and amazing things.
Yes.
Pregnancy journeys are all over the place for people.
Yeah.
And when you're a woman, first and foremost, anything about pregnancy, you're already all over the place.
Yes.
Infertility is very real. Miscarriages are very real. All those things. But you're a multi-business owner.
Yeah.
Navigating moments like that. So not only did you go through a big grief and a big breakup that was 4 months away from a wedding, but very recently there was grief in your life. How does that look from you on a very practical level? So I don't want to ignore the emotions behind it, but on a very practical owner, do you pause business for a week and say, I'm not available? Like, what do you do to get through and acknowledge and honor what you're going through as a woman, as a person, as a parent? Like, how do you navigate that?
That is such a great question. And the thing that I found that works the best is kind of placing things in buckets because I'm not able to pause. You're right. You know, being a business owner, it's like I couldn't just walk away. However, when you go through something like that, you learn what really needs your attention and what can wait. You know, and it kind of retrains even clients or people with boundaries and stuff like Alex and I, we talk about a lot, you know, is it kind of resets you in a way where it's like, this is not important. This can wait. Whereas a lot of times I catch myself grinding. But every time something bad has happened, to answer your question like that, I don't let it wait. I prioritize things in buckets, what absolutely needs my attention, what can wait, and what I can do to help myself get through this now.
Yeah.
I get through it. So during that time with the miscarriage, I did take a week where I was responding to email, but I was kind of like, anything that can wait, it's going to wait.
Yeah.
This is the only thing that matters right now.
So like laying in bed responding to emails, or like getting up, going to work, doing what you had? Like, what did that very really look like?
I had to get up and do it. But again, that's just me.
Yeah.
Because when I go through these things, I can't sit. Like
It's like you have to have something to focus on.
Yes. And, you know, and I'm busy and I was doing like multiple loads of laundry and, you know, I had to, because that's how I cope. Now, that's not for everybody, you know, but one thing across the board I would say is use those buckets, you know, because once you come out of it, you're going to also realize everything's not a fire.
Yeah.
Everything's not a mortgage, you know, and it helps you, you know, in the long run. So
it does help you.
Take your time, let yourself heal,
Yeah.
find those buckets, you know, things can wait.
Do you delegate more too? Because I mean, the reality of your marketing business is that you have many consultants that serve and support what makes one marketing project possible. So are you know, consultants and contractors and things like that are very different from having this full-time team that you can lean on. So what does that kind of look like as far as delegation goes during moments? It might even just be like, you feel like going with Eric to something he has to do for the next week, right?
Yeah.
So like, because you're also great at that. So, you know, what does delegation look like during those moments?
Yeah. Well, luckily the team is already set up that way because having worked at a PR agency, you know, when I was working full time after college, I learned how to assign different contractors to client accounts and build a team out. So there's typically never just one person working on any account at a time at Epic Blue. You have multiple people, and that is kind of our selling point for the business too. Is
like if you go down, your project keeps moving.
It does.
Yeah.
And that's across the board with anyone, you know. So we do have different account leads, and yes, they are contractors, but essentially working, the majority of them, all except for one, is pretty much full time, you know, with Epic Blue. But so you get a team of us and we're there with you, kind of like your own personal marketing team as a small business. And so that helps in situations like this. So building things and scaling in a way that allows you to have those moments as a leader or business owner and communicating with your team. I never have standing meetings with my Epic Blue contractors. I don't, because I am not going to drain my employees' batteries over a standing meeting that doesn't necessarily need to happen when they could be using that juice and energy on client accounts or other things. Now, we still have meetings, but they're just not standing ones. They're meetings that need to happen when
it needs to happen.
Amen. And so if there is a situation that comes up like this, I communicate to the team, this is what's going on. And they all are ready, you know, because I'm already, again, in advance, not sucking energy, wasting, you know, everyone is set up for success. All of us as a team and vice versa. If any of, you know, my Epic Blue team needs time or anything like that, they communicate and we are all hands on deck, ready to jump in. We're small, but we're ready to rock, you know, and like,
Small
I'm very
but
lucky
mighty.
to have that. Yeah.
Small but mighty.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Paw Patrol? 'Cause that's
I'm talking about Devin's business plus Paw
and
Patrol. I do have a question that I haven't asked any other guest, but I want to ask you. To me, it's apparent that most successful entrepreneurs started in a job.
Yes.
They learned skills in a job before they started their business. And I can think of all the guests that we've had on here, and all of them have been like that.
True, yeah.
Why? I mean, I know why it's important, but I think a lot of times we get some entrepreneurs that don't want to do the 9 to 5, don't want to go work for somebody else, just want to be, doing their own thing independently.
Yeah.
Well, and they also, the reason they want to be an entrepreneur is because they think it gets them away from that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And then they find that it's not like that,
And
right?
actually, you're going right back in it.
Yeah.
I don't really know what the question is here. I guess I just want to know your perspective. Would you have gone back and done it differently? Or do you feel like working at LCC and some of the other places that you worked really propped you up to be? Because you've already referenced it once. Like I learned how to do that at the PR agency. That's how we put a team together. And I can say that about many things of my jobs and how they transferred to the next job that I had or whatever. So I'm just curious, like, would you have gone and done it differently? Or do you think that's the perfect way to do it?
No chance. I would have done it like that because you can have, if you look at a goal sheet or think about that, you can have 2 tracks going at once, and that's what I did. Like over here, it's like, okay, I need the full-time job so I can pay this, do that, but I'm not losing sight of wanting to someday own my own business, and it was actually in having one of those jobs when I traveled to New York that made me want to start Belle Row. Back to your original question that I didn't answer. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Like, and walking through the little boutiques in SoHo and they were so small.
That's what made you want to do it?
And seeing these curated clothes from all over in these shops, and some of these boutiques were the size of closets, but they were trying. And I'm like, what a great idea.
Yeah.
Curating clothes from all different vendors and designers and bringing them into one spot. Like, I want to try that, and so
Nowhere else can I get a mushroom dress. My mushroom dress is my fave,
I
man.
can't find,
we all should have wore some.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about it.
On? Actually, no, I don't. Darn it. I wear
That's
once a
actually kind of
week.
abnormal.
Yeah.
Sometimes we all walk in and we're all wearing
Yeah.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so if I had not been working that job, I wouldn't have gone there. You just never know what's going to happen. But the point of that is I wouldn't know. No, I would not, because I needed to learn all those things. When I worked at the tanning salon, I learned the opening day procedures and the closing day procedures, which I use for my brick and mortar for Belle Row for my girls and balancing the cash drawer and where to drop the money. I mean, I learned what to do if someone comes in and like, you need to call the police or there's I learned all of this from working at other jobs.
Right.
And so it was critical.
So the last question I have for you then is, because your story, abruptly you were like, okay, we're moving to, where'd you move? Boston. Or So like, you're like, okay,
I'll answer for you.
I know
I know your story pretty well.
we're selling this. I'm leaving my job. If that never would have happened, do you think you would still be at LCC? Like, what do you think? Where do you think you'd be now if that never happened? If you were never forced to do that?
It's a great question. And I was comfortable there. So part of me, I think, wants to say yes.
Really?
I was comfortable. And that's why, too, you guys, like,
That's such a good point. Being comfortable.
when things happen in your life, you have an opportunity to wallow or be like, I am going to grab this. I'm going to figure out a way, and now it's like, thank God that happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I am so happy. I have my business. I'm back in my hometown. I mean, it couldn't have worked out better. And I was comfortable.
Yeah.
Why would I have left before,
It just
and
goes
so
right back to our first guest, Tanya, talking about the contentment of being in that 9 to 5 and never
like you
leaving
have
it.
to have your strategy out.
You do.
And you're reminding me of, I've actually been thinking a lot about this. There is a rule in improv. Do you remember when I made you read that Tina Fey book? Mm-hmm. That was such a good book. And
was
she
good
talks
book.
about the rules of improv. It might even be called something like that.
Is it Bossy Pants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is. But one of the rules of improv is always respond with yes. So the example they give is when you're on stage in an improv scene. Let's say someone's like, I am sitting on a chair right now. And if I'm on in the scene with you and I go, no, you're not, that doesn't move the scene forward. So you have to go, oh my gosh, like that chair also looks like a crocodile who's eating you. It moves the scene forward.
Okay.
And I think about that a lot because she used it in the book to give an example of how much that helped in her life, to always say yes to whatever comes her way. That doesn't mean, you know, like literally always say yes. Like if a dude is walking behind you and like gropes you, you're not like, yeah, that feels good. But you know, when life throws curveballs your way, if you look at it and say no, it does stop the scene. Whereas it doesn't mean you have to say yes right away, but if you look at it and go, okay, if this is what my scene partner brought up, what could I say yes about? How could I progress this scene? And I feel like that impacted me so much after a life transition like that.
Yes.
To be like, I need to grieve. And like your grief was 4 months and then you bought a building. I think my grief was like 4.5 years where I was like, I'm depressed now and I don't pay bills, just so you know. But
you know, panel might be at Belle's, yeah. Alex, please.
And so, you know, whatever, you know, your grief timeline looks like you can keep saying no.
Yeah.
You can choose that.
Yeah.
If you were to say yes and add something to the scene, what might that be? And that has impacted me so much.
So
to
true.
Think about, I'm not an actress, clearly, but I just mean that improv rule I think is so relevant to life and the curveballs that come with entrepreneurship.
It so is. And I love that. And I'm glad you said that too, because in those moments when you're not feeling comfortable and you say yes, like in the improv moments and your body now and your mind naturally remembers, and it's going to help you. So when you do face these decisions down the road, or if something else happens, you're training and rewiring things to help you get.
I can be comfortable in uncomfortable things. Yeah, that's a cult lesson.
Okay.
Cult lesson.
So I guess the moral of the story is when your life is up in flames, it's probably a good thing.
Or, you know, like call firefighters.
You
and
can
be like,
use
can
it.
I live at your house for a minute? Wow.
It's really good. It's really, really good. That's also a cult thing.
That's also a cult thing. This is great. Everything is great.
This has been a fantastic conversation.
This has
really
been a legitimate exact conversation we would have had at Hot Tubbers and Entrepreneurs.
Yes, it is.
Like the exact same thing. But it would go on for 4 more hours, but we don't have that kind of time.
We have to wrap this up.
We'll go to the hot tub after.
Dang it.
But thank you so much, Devon, for coming and hanging with us. I do want to do a shout out to your own podcast, Hour of Happy, where people can get wherever they get their podcasts. And we appreciate anyone who listens to Michigan Tribe, and the guests we get to hang with are legitimate friends, and we're so grateful for your friendship.
And I'm so grateful too. Thank you girls so much for having me. It's been awesome.
Thanks for coming.
Yes.
All right, everybody, you know what to do. Download wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. If you want to see us, YouTube. All right. So you can get the next episode when it comes out. Bye.
Bye.
Talk to me.